So I'm curious, how have you gone to work on your own ego and the work that you've done with your ego? Because that really goes right along with this idea of self-mastery that we're creating here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I've been on this journey of personal development for a long time, and I always thought I knew what my ego was, and I thought I was doing great at not living through ego. And it's actually not until I took the Enneagram test and actually learned what my specific ego sounds like, looks like, feels like, wants, desires, tries to push me towards, right? So doing the Enneagram test and actually learning what my specific ego is was a game changer. And I realized I had never been doing ego work. My ego was running the show and causing me all of this strife in my life that I thought was part of my purpose, right? So it was really doing that Enneagram test like last year that changed the game for me, because I was like, oh, that's my ego. And it gave me terminology and words and like images to put towards my ego so I could clearly see her. I gave her a name, like I'm Alecia, my ego's Felicia. So now it's like, hey, Felicia, it's like, we're good. Like, thanks so much, but you can take a back seat now. Like, I can just talk to her and say, wait a minute, you're not running the show today.
So I'm curious, this test, it's called the Enneagram test.
Enneagram, yeah.
Enneagram.
It's
how
amazing.
did it describe, if you don't mind going into, I'm just curious, how did it describe your ego? Like how did it, that just seems like an ethereal thing. How did it describe it?
So it goes by numbers. I'm an Enneagram 3, which is the achiever. And like, I could have told you that before doing the test, but so the achiever is obviously about achievement and success and self-image and how you look and like on a physical level, like clothes and body and like all this stuff. And I think kind of coming back to your fitness point, I think like fitness and this healthy living lifestyle can be very beneficial, but it also has a tipping edge where it can become toxic, right? So I was at the point where my ego was driving me in a toxic way towards these things. So as I stripped it back, I got to, live into my desire of being fashionable and having a fit body and eating healthy from a very clean place. So, yeah.
What would you say was the biggest transition from that place of doing those things in an unhealthy, egoic way versus the way that you go about it now?
So with anything in life, I always say it's not even necessarily the action you're taking. It's what's the energy behind that action, right? So am I working out 4 to 6 times a week for myself, or is the energy behind it so I can look a certain way, so I have approval from others and acceptance from society and, all that attention, right? So it's like, what's the energy behind the action that you're taking? And that can go into any area of your life.
Yeah, that intention is really what it comes down to. Like when I first started working on my body, my intention was I wanted to look a certain way. And I'm kind of glad that that was my intention at the beginning, because that really kicked me into high gear to get where I wanted to be. But once again, it got to that point where my identity hadn't shifted. So I would look at myself, and even though I was slimmer, fitter, I would see myself still as that fat guy, right? Because the identity hasn't shifted. But over the last 3 or 4 years, my whole fitness mindset has been, I walk, I run, I work out, and I lift in order to feel better and in order to live longer and in order to have more energy throughout the day. Like the way that I track my fitness is how much energy do I have by 5 or 6 p.m. each night? Am I still able to show up fully for my wife? Am I still able to show up fully for my family? And that's really how I track my fitness now. And even if I'm not the lowest number on the scale, I have more energy to do those things. It's not about the number. It's about, like what you said, the intention behind it. And when people say, oh, I want to weigh this much, well, okay, well, why? Like, what's your reason for that number? Well, it's the number that I was at in college. Okay, well, you're 45 now, right? College was a long time ago. So that your body is completely different now. So what is your new intention for your health and fitness? I think that's extremely insightful what you just said.
That's so powerful. So I honestly had my own revelation as well with fitness. And just like you, I started for the aesthetic purposes of it. Like I want to look a certain way. So I worked out and I got there. But what I realized is I would get there and then I would stop doing what I did to get there. And then it created this yo-yo effect, right?
Yes.
Where it's like I got there and then I would like leave there and then I'd get back there. And it was this exhausting like series of events, basically. And then I realized like, this isn't driving me. Like, what's my motivation here? And I was like, okay, I know I can look a certain way, but at that point I was like stiff, my joints were hurting, like, you know, I wasn't that flexible anymore. And I was like, what's the point? Like, this isn't fun. So I shifted my motivation. For me, it really helped to make a long-term kind of vision similar to you, where I was like, well, who am I going to be when I'm 70 or 80 or 90? Like, and the actions I do today are going to benefit the woman I'll be then. And like, when I get to that point in my life, I want to be able to walk up the stairs and not be out of breath. I want to go on mountain hikes. I want to go to the gym still. Like, I want to be able to move and breathe and have energy. And that has changed my life because now it's like, it's so easy for me to eat clean food. And it's so easy for me not to stress myself out with working out, but do the right amount that just keeps my body energized and happy and moving. And so, yeah, that was a game changer.